Congratulations, it's 1 July. Congratulations if you're here. You've managed to waste the first 6 months of 2026. I don't know, that's what it feels like if you're a crypto investor, right? You think about our returns for the first 6 months of 2026, because yesterday was the last day of the second quarter of the first half of the year. Not great returns. I mean, if you look at Bitcoin's returns, Bitcoin gave us negative 22% in the first quarter, negative 14% in the second quarter. ETH, basically, if you combine the first 2 quarters, you got a negative 65 or 55% return. So not a great time to be a crypto investor. That's why I thought I'd start the show with this and just remind us how we've managed to waste the first 6 months of 2026, guys. Congratulations to all of you. Congratulations to everyone. So yes, we've managed to waste the first 6 months of 2026. Actually, it feels much worse than that, because it's not like we've wasted the first 6 months of 2026. It feels like we've wasted this whole presidency. Like if you look at since Trump's basically come into power, 24 days later, or whatever it is, Solana's down 70%. Bitcoin is down, what is that number over there? It is 47%. If you're an ETH holder, you're down 54% since Trump basically was inaugurated. And if you held Trump coin since 2 days before the inauguration, you're down a whopping 98%. So, I mean, I want to say again, congratulations. I'm not going to play the music again. Or maybe I should. Congratulations to everyone. I think it's probably a good time to reflect on who actually made money. So I don't know. I don't know about you, but I haven't made a lot of money. I haven't made money since Trump came into power. Hardest, you made money since Trump came into power? Nah. You over there. In fact, let's see who's here. New Earth Guardian, did you make... He calls me dumbass Rand. I mean, always wrong, always being someone else, always blaming someone else. I am actually blaming someone else. Well, I'll tell you who it is. Did you make money since Trump came into power? Did you make money since Trump came into power? Specifically, if you've been trading crypto. Tell you one thing, if you've been trading AI stocks since Trump came into power, you're bloody rich. If you've been trading, if you traded gold, you probably made a lot of money, and then maybe you lost some of that money, but ultimately it's been good for you. Not many people made money since Trump's come into power. Not many crypto investors made money since Trump came into power. But yesterday's disclosures actually disclosed that some people did make a lot of money since Trump came into power. In fact, Trump himself, I don't know about you, but Trump made $1.4 billion in 2025 in crypto earnings. That's a filing that came out yesterday, which basically showed how much money Trump has made on crypto in the last in 2025 alone. Now, I want to talk about the crypto part of it, because he made a lot of money with a lot of crypto ventures. He currently is holding. He's still a hodler. Don't get me wrong. It's not like he's cashed out. He's still holding $100 million plus in Bitcoin, $55 million plus in Ethereum. He's holding $50 million in World Liberty Fi token, $5 million in stablecoins, and then he owns a lot of other assets. And it's causing a lot of outrage, right? Because a lot of crypto holders are basically blaming Trump for the fact that the markets have come down, almost saying that Trump has been completely extractionary from this ecosystem and that he single-handedly basically destroyed crypto. So that came out yesterday, and there's a lot of outrage about it. The one part that I think is worth paying attention to, it feels like Trump and the Trump family have basically turned their presidency into a money-making scheme. If you look at the number of individual investments in the annual filings in 2025, in 2024, in 2024 they made 3,300 investments. In 2025 they made 6,181 investments. So it looks like what people are up in arms about is about how the presidency has basically milked his presidency to make money. Here is the actual extractions from the report. I'm not going to go through the whole report, but here's some good highlights that you might actually want to pick up on. So the first thing is they made 3,642 trades in Q1 2026. 3,642 trades. That's like a high frequency trader. That annualizes to 14,568 trades a year, 58 trades a day. Holy moly, 58. How many of you may have made 58 trades this month? No ways. If you look at the individual presidents and how the individual presidents have basically traded, so you can see it on, like over there. This is Trump, and this is every other president that has made individual investments. Okay, that's basically what the chart looks like. I kid you not, this is real information that came from a Trump filing. So where did Trump actually make all the money? So they made, get this, they made $635 million on Trump coin. I just want to quickly just remind you that this is the Trump coin chart over here. That's the chart. A lot of people lost a lot of money. I mean, you can see that that's what happened here. This was at this level over here. It was, I mean, I don't even remember what the market cap would have been here, but it was absurd. So Trump made $635 million on Trump coin. Melania Trump's NFT sales gave us 6 million. Melania coin's not on here. Maybe that'll be in Melania's separate filings. They've made 236 million in 𝗙𝗬𝗢𝗪 tokens. So if you ever held 𝗙𝗬𝗢𝗪 tokens and you're down, congratulations. You now know who you were trading against. Sales and ownership of interest in USD1 stablecoin venture, 196 million. So ultimately, Trump's made about $1.4 billion in crypto. Now, even his own lawyer, this is like his own ex-lawyer. So Trump, former lawyer, doesn't believe that his trades are legal. By the way, before I actually play this to you, just I don't know if you've noticed, we've got a new intern running the crypto Banter account. Guy is like fully autistic, but he's doing a great job. So you should probably, if you're not already following a crypto Banter, you should follow crypto Banter. Anyway, this was posted on the crypto Banter account.
What is your reaction to the scale of what we're seeing in this disclosure of how much Trump is earning from these crypto ventures? Over $1 billion last year alone, right? This isn't a cumulative number. It's in 1 year, an industry he's actively promoted and supported and done policy and executive orders related to. Is it legal?
I don't believe so. Certainly, I don't think it was contemplated by the founders when they created the emoluments clause. I do think that one of the line items, of course, is the commemorative coins. Several $100 million of income related to those coins. How can that be anything other than trading on his image and likeness in violation of the emoluments clause?
So you can't trade on on your image and likeness as an American president.
With regard to the crypto, obviously that's it's a slimy industry. Certainly the way he's going around it.
That guy said that crypto is a slimy industry. He just called crypto a slimy industry. What in the world would make him think that?
He creates policies that can only enrich himself and his family is something that I think the average American should be staggered by. But you mentioned the scale, and I think the scale here is just it's intentional. There's no question. I mean, we are seeing the greatest onslaught of corruption in the history of mankind in the last 18 months. We have the $1.8 billion that he and Todd Blanche tried to take from the American taxpayers through the phony settlement of a contrived controversy with which he was going to pay off his friends. This is somebody who every day is devoted to the accumulation of wealth and power. And
I mean, I must say, I love Trump, but these numbers are a little bit staggering. If you look at his presidency as a trade, Trump, this is the Trump versus all the others in office in terms of the combined trading. Look at that. That's Barack Obama, that's Bill Clinton, that's George W. Bush. So Trump basically said, look, I'm coming in I was here for the first term. I served the first term pretty well. I lost it to Joe Biden. I'm coming back the second time round, but this time I'm coming back for me, brothers. This time it's for me. The first time it was to serve the country. The second time I'm coming back for me, bro. I'm coming back. It's for me and for Eric and for Melania and for Barron and for even Junior. I'm coming back for us. I'll never ever be invited to Mar-a-Lago ever again. I know I won't. I'm never going to be invited back to Mar-a-Lago after the show, and that's why I didn't really actually want to make the show, but the researchers couldn't come up with anything else, so basically I had to make the show. And now that I'm making the show, I basically, as I'm talking more and more about the show, I'm realizing more and more how much of a hole I'm digging myself into, and how next time I get to the American border, I might just be deported and sent back home because I didn't agree because I just basically, I just wanted you to know that all I've actually done today is I haven't actually, none of the facts have been my own facts. I've just recited other people's tweets, as you can see. None of this has been my research. It's just I'm just reading other people's tweets to you about how much money the president allegedly made, which I haven't obviously been able to verify myself. So, yeah. I mean, on a more serious note, the problem with this is a real big problem for crypto. And the reason why it's such a big problem for crypto is because Trump is making so much money out of crypto. If you look at the increase in his wealth, his wealth increased from like 4 to 6 billion, and he made about $1.4 billion on crypto. And so if you think about what the Democrats are going to target, they're going to target the one place that Trump actually benefits from. So if you think that since Trump's coming to power, again, I don't have actual factual data here, but I could say that his wealth increased from 4 billion to 6 billion. 1.4 billion of that was actually through crypto. So if there is a blue sweep, or if the Democrats win the House, the Senate, or whatever happens in the midterm elections in November, then the one place that you can be sure that the Democrats are going to go after him for is crypto, which again, it's going to paint a very bad picture for us. And specifically, if you look at the fact that the Clarity Act is not yet through, right? So you've got currently what's happening in the United States, you've got the Clarity Act now at a 41% chance of passing. The SEC is operating under its own mandate and doesn't really need a Clarity Act. The problem is that if the Democrats come in the next elections and they replace the current head of the SEC with a Gary Gensler again, then all of these pro-crypto sentiment can change. If we get the Clarity Act, then obviously that's different. So this is the problem. The problem is that because Trump was so pro-crypto, actually, because he was so good to crypto, and we'll talk about how good he actually was for crypto, because Trump was so good for crypto, we could suffer the most if the Republicans don't win a sweep in the midterm elections. And they're not going to win a sweep in the midterm elections. We can go to Polymarket and check that bet. Let's say Republican sweep. Would I call it that? Sweep. Let's see what Polymarkets actually have for us. Republican. No. Let's look at outcome. U.S. election midterm. Let's see what we got here. What have we got? Outcome of the midterm elections. Balance of power in the midterm. So let's see what it is. So a Democratic sweep 43%, a Republican sweep 17%, Republican House, Democrat Senate 2%, Republican Senate, Democrat House 39%. So the problem is that, as you can see, we're going to get into trouble in November, and the first thing they're going to go and target is they're going to go and target crypto. Why are they going to go and target crypto? Because that's where Trump is making most of his money. That's where Trump is making most of his extractions. I do say again that the worst part of all of this is that Trump has actually been really, really, really good for crypto, and of course, crypto has been really good to Trump, as you can see. You know the whole adage of like one hand washes the other. I'm good for you, you're good for me. I help you, you help me. I help you long time, you help me long time. That's basically how it works, right? So if you look at like what Trump actually promised versus what Trump actually delivered, he has actually delivered on most of his promises, right? So like, let's just recap what Trump actually promised us, right? So researchers, do you see how shit your artifacts look when you put them up on the screen? You can't see anything. The writing's too small. Can you not just work on your presentation, guys? Please work on your presentation. It really looks bad. Anyway, let's now look at this terrible artifact that the researchers published that you can hardly read, especially if your eyes are getting a bit worse. So he did promise to change all the personnel and to end Kamala Harris's war and Joe Biden's war against crypto. He did promise to get Gary Gensler out. Let's just
out my plan to ensure that the United States will be the crypto capital of the planet and the Bitcoin superpower of the world, and we'll get it done. If crypto is going to define the future, I want to be mined, minted, and made in the USA. It's going to be. It's not going to be made anywhere else. And if Bitcoin is going to the moon, as we say, it's going to the moon, I want America to be the nation that leads the way. And that's what's going to happen. I pledge to the Bitcoin community that the day I take the oath of office, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris's anti-crypto crusade will be over. It will end. It'll be done.
And he did that. I mean, he did that. He appointed a whole lot of really good people. Like he appointed Brian Quintes at the national chair of the CFTC. He appointed Paul Atkins at the SEC. He appointed Hester Peirce as the head of the SEC crypto task force. So he actually delivered on his promise. The researchers sent me this because their first artifact really looked like bad. So he delivered on that. He appointed a crypto czar for us. He pardoned Ross Ulbricht. So he actually delivered on that. In terms of the Bitcoin strategic reserve. The reserve is established. He said never sell the Bitcoin. I think you can say that's partially established. He said that they would accumulate more Bitcoin in a budget neutral way. They haven't yet. So I would say that one is still pending as opposed to not done. Codify reserves into law. He's doing that. A digital stockpile partial. In terms of legislation, he has delivered the Genius Act. They are trying to approve the Clarity Act. And I would say that Trump's really doing everything that he can to approve the Clarity Act. He did ban a US CBDC. He did sign the executive order. So you can see that Trump has actually been an amazing, amazing president for crypto. But that's where I think that they're going to go up. That's where I think that they're going to go against us here, right? I think that now, because Trump's been so good to crypto and because crypto has been so good for Trump, the problem is that right now the Republicans have got the sweep. They've got the House. So they've got the sweep. In November, we can only lose. And the problem is, because we can only lose, then I think that the first place that they're going to hit him is they're going to hit him in crypto. And I think that may actually be bad for us. So I've been going back to it. I don't think that the reason why crypto isn't running has anything to do with Trump. I think he's done everything that he can. I think he's pushed for good monetary policy. He's pushed for interest rate loosening. He hasn't got it. And I guess we're now dealing with the consequences. I did like this, which was a tweet which I read. It came from 𝗙𝗘𝗔𝗧𝗪. It says, Bitcoin likely has another parabolic cycle ahead. He said, yes, capital efficiency is declining. In 2011, just 2.7 in net capital inflows drove a 55,000% price increase. This cycle, $697 billion, produced a 689% return. The next parabolic bull market likely requires deeper institutional allocation. Bitcoin needs to be more of a core macro asset, not just a retail-driven fund. That shift is still early, not invalidated. If Bitcoin can absorb 1 trillion in realized market cap, another parabolic run can remain on the table. So he basically said that, what's happening now is a result of monetary policy, and that if we want another parabolic run, it's got to come from the institutions actually ratcheting up their allocation. And I think that that's what's going to drive the next cycle. So I don't think it's got anything to do with Trump. I've got to be honest. So yeah, that's the Trump story. Yeah, I mean, it's a big story. It is a big story. Let's talk about the other big story, because there is another big story here. And that is Circle. I don't know if you guys have watched Circle, but Circle absolutely getting obliterated. Circle, the stablecoin issuer. Why is Circle getting obliterated? So Circle is basically taking it now from both sides, right? From both ends. So on the one end, they actually got removed from multiple Russell growth indices. According to this publication, they were removed from Russell growth indices during the Russell reconstitution. So they were included in passive indices, but now they've been removed. I wonder why they've been removed. I wonder if it's because their prices dropped, that they don't actually fit into that criteria anymore. But that's not why the price of Circle actually dropped so sharply yesterday. This is, like, you got to pay attention to this. As you can see, with what was posted by the new autistic, he actually said in a message, he said not partially autistic, fully autistic. So the new fully autistic intern at Crypto Banter, who runs the Crypto Banter account, he said that the Circle share crashed as a consortium launches a rival stablecoin. So yesterday, there was a new stablecoin that was launched. It's called OpenUSD. And what is OpenUSD? It is a genius way, or a genius protocol designed to launch stablecoins. Now, first of all, let's look at the partners of who is on board with this thing. So Visa's on board, MasterCard's on board, Stripe's on board, American Express is on board, BlackRock is on board, Coinbase is on board, Google's on board, Shopify's on board, Ripple's on board, Solana's on board, Polygon's on board, MetaMask is also on board. So these guys launched a thing called OpenUSD. What is OpenUSD? It's a stablecoin, just like USDC, just like USDT. It's one-to-one backed. It's got shared governance. In other words, the governance is between all these people. No mint and redeem fees for partners. And the thing is that the yields are shared across the ecosystem rather than kept by one company. Now, how do they share the yields across the ecosystem? Because you'll remember that now with the Clarity Act, sharing of yields with the users is not really allowed with the proposed Clarity Act. But what I'm hearing is whoever issues the coin, So let's say Visa issue 100 coins, and MasterCard issue 100 coins, and Stripe issue 100 coins, and American Express 100 coins. The interest that those coins earn goes back to the person who originated the stablecoin. So now you've got this consortium where all of these people and a whole lot more can basically launch stablecoins, and those stablecoins can be integrated real world applications. The money that is backing those stablecoins is one-to-one. It's invested obviously in government treasury yields, right? And then the interest goes to the person who issued the stablecoin. So the more stablecoins that you issue, the more interest you earn. So now all of these guys are going to work together to integrate all this 𝗙USD stablecoin into their ecosystem. So imagine like Visa integrates it, MasterCard integrates it, Stripe integrates it, MetaMask integrates it. While I'm talking about MetaMask, I'm not sponsored by MetaMask, just so you know this, just because everyone says to me, are you sponsored? But have you actually opened the app lately? Have you actually downloaded the app on the App Store? And have you actually seen how advanced what they allow you to do on the MetaMask app is? I don't know if you can see it on my phone here. There's a whole, I don't have a wallet on this phone. But if you go and have a look at it, you can literally do anything that you want on MetaMask. I'm telling you, I've been shocked by how what I used to think was like that old wallet that I had. I want to show you like what you can actually do on this wallet. It's like I left them for a while and all they did was carry on building. And you can literally do like so many things. You can trade anytime. You can do perps. You can do prediction markets. Now, I guess you cannot do stuff with stablecoins, invest your stablecoins, because they're part of this 𝗙USD consortium. So you've now got Circle, which was like the only way to get exposure to stablecoins in the United States. And now you've got this consortium that's basically said, okay, yes, Circle, congratulations, you've done a great job. Yes, Tether, you've also done a great job, but now you're not allowed to operate in Europe. Now, we are a consortium launching a new stablecoin called 𝗙USD. This is the only one that I think is worth paying attention to, because if you look at the players that are playing here, these are serious players, and they've got a serious business model. The business model is we all launch stablecoins. We all help the stablecoin get network effects. And when we do, we all share in the ups and we all share in the downs. Now, 𝗕𝗬𝗕𝗓 actually responded to this. I wonder if he was actually aware of it. He said, we've had lots of questions from our investor community looking for thoughts on 𝗙USD, and so I thought I'd share my direct views here. Stablecoin networks are platform and network businesses that are established over a long period of time, tend towards a winner-takes-all structure, and resembles other internet platform utility. And this is the case. Generally, stablecoins will be a winner-takes-all. First, stablecoin networks are effectively act as public protocols, and on the internet, every time a developer or service provider wants to integrate, it brings more to the network effect. So every time a new developer wants to create an application that uses USDC, it creates or it grows the USDC network. Second, it's a layer of liquidity effects. And third, it's a layer of network strength which comes to deep integration with policy and regulator environments. He says Circle is working hard on basically all three of those, and they continue to do so, and they basically welcome the new competitor, right? I do agree with him here, where he says a consortium where everybody has a voice. Now, I know on paper that sounds good, but usually when there's a consortium running a business, it takes much longer to make decisions, and decisions are usually not great because they're usually made by the wisdom of the crowd versus the wisdom of the one individual. Now, imagine that Elon Musk was running Tesla with the wisdom of the crowd. It would never achieve anywhere close to what it's actually achieving, right? And why? That's because you've got one individual who's willing to make some tough decisions that usually go against the norm, and that's how we innovate. So, look, I think this is great. I don't think that it's time to sell all your Circle. Question is, do I buy Circle here? Now, let's quickly look at this at Circle here. So remember the IPO price was about $23. It launched at about $63. Now it's back to the exact moment that it launched. So it's basically given back all the returns. Market cap of Circle here, $15 billion. It is getting into value territory. It really is getting into value territory. I like competition. Competition is healthy. I think it's going to take those competitors a long time to integrate. Although they seem to have done like a lot. They've integrated with a lot of chains, so Tempo, Plasma, Coinbase, even Coinbase, which is Circle's biggest partner, is actually part of this. Let's keep an eye on it. Maybe Circle will be a buy at some point. but it's not as attractive as it was. Why? Because it's not the only stablecoin play now. What else? 1 July, 1 July. You know what 1 July means, right? It means MiCA. MiCA regulations took effect today in Europe. A lot of people are left without exchanges. Yeah, this is from Binance. They say, as MiCA related changes take effect in the EU, we want to reassure you affected users that we remain committed to supporting you through this transition, and with clarity, your assets remain safe on Binance. So basically, if you went to Binance today, you can't open new trades, you can close all your old trades, and you can withdraw your money. Yeah, a lot of Binance users now looking for a new home. I did read this over here, which says that could leave over 10 million users without a platform. And it's not only Binance, there's a lot of others that didn't get a license. Binance didn't get a license, but they, as I understand it, already in the reapplication for a license. Let's talk about what happens if you are looking for an exchange. The first thing is, if you are on Bybit, as you know, Bybit's got 2 exchanges, Bybit Global and Bybit for the EU, Bybit EU. So you need to migrate from Bybit Global to Bybit EU. Now, how do you do that? Well, just move your funds. Bybit sent this to us. They said, look, 5 random users will get rewarded with $1,000 between now and the 5th of July. You'll get a €20 bonus upon depositing, a $10 card bonus when you top up with $100, a 10% cashback on all card spending. Holy moly, in the first month. That is massive. And wow, I just booked a vacation with my family. I paid on a card. Imagine I would have a 10% cashback. It's absurd. I got 7% on my cars card. 50 euros cashback on the subscription, on subscription like Netflix, OpenAI. Holy moly. So listen, go and sign up to Bybit EU if you are, because soon, look, I'm be honest, they don't have perps yet, but you still have perps on your old Bybit app. Don't tell anyone that you can still do that. Here we go. Still have perps on. Shh. Okay. Don't say that. Can't say stuff like that. So move your funds. Just go and move your funds, and you get all these things. But you got to move quickly if you want to get all these amazing things. So if you're on Bybit International, just go and open your account on Bybit EU and migrate your account. You can still trade on the other one. It's not a big thing. Not a big thing. If you want a non-KYC exchange, this is my favorite non-KYC exchange. Is 𝗏𝗏. There's a sign-up bonus if you want to sign up to that exchange over here. 𝗏𝗏. Here we go. Claim a $1,000 deposit bonus, no KYC, if you go and sign up. What else is there? If you want to go to 𝗏𝗏 but you need a VPN, I mean, it's so simple. Just look. Let me show you. I can't do that. Let me show you how that VPN thing works. A lot of you don't know how VPN works. You should. Let me show you. Okay, so can you see that? Amazing. When you connect the internet, you have an IP number, and the IP number is linked to a country. So right now, mine knows that I'm in South Africa. If I want to pretend that I'm in Albania, I just click on that. If I do that, will it take me off the internet, Hoddis?
Yeah, no.
So I mustn't do that. No, I mustn't do it. Okay, so if I click Albania, I'll be from Albania, and then I can still trade on Albanian exchanges. You understand how this works, right? So go and sign up for VPN. The thing with a VPN is it's so cheap to do, like, that you should be doing it anyway, guys. You should be doing it anyway to protect your crypto and to hide your IP address. The deal is, if you use the link below, you get for $3.37. So that means that if you're in Europe, you're paying less than €3. Just go and do it, honestly. What else? I was messing around with this earlier. I don't know if you guys have seen it. Trading stocks on Binance. You can literally trade all the stocks on Binance. Apple, Tesla, everything on Binance. They actually wrote a blog about it, and they said that they went from 0 to 1 billion trading volume on stocks in 30 days. I love the way that crypto, real world assets and stocks are converging into crypto, because especially while crypto is going down, nice to know that we can trade stocks on our crypto exchanges. All right, chaps, what a boring day on the market. Especially look at the bubbles. I did see some like big green bubbles, like Morpho, Jupiter, Cardano. Huh? Cardano. Can't imagine why. DYDX launching their new chain on Arbitrum. Yeah, not much going on. One of those boring days. All right, fam. I will see you guys again tomorrow. Until then, trade well, my friends.